In last session, we clearly discussed about what is a basic Java structure and what a class is and why we are using class and why class is mandatory and why main method is required and how Java programs execute internally and how JVM start execution and how to write and run our first Java program. So everything we clearly known and we have discussed everything theoretical and both coding also. We have done and with some examples as well. So let me open my workspace also. Meanwhile, let me recap or provide you for for the last session. We clearly discussed about the things I have mentioned earlier. So in today's class, and let me start a new concept called as concept of uh, variables and data types. Okay, variables and data types. So okay, fine. What is meant by variables and why do we need a variable and why it is meant by data types and what are the types of data types? Everything is going to be discussed in today's session. Okay. So let me start today's class. So let me start with the basic question directly. Why do we need a variable? Why do we need a variable? Simple question, guys. I ask you. I'm asking you, why do we need a variable? So why do we need a variable in the sense? I can simply tell you before writing any logic, let us all try to think about anything. Okay. So before writing any logic, before writing any logic, okay, before writing any logic, just will think about this. What we'll think about the below, we'll think about this. Like I can write as before writing any logic, think about the below one or below things. Okay. So a program works with data and some like I can tell you directly, a program works with some data. Okay. A program works with data. So what is meant by data, for example, I can tell you, for example, examples of data, I can say that uh, examples of data directly I can say like the data can be a numbers, a combination of numbers and characters and words, everything. So what are the examples? I can mention them directly in words, in the sense I can directly take Java, in the sense I can take directly Java. What is meant by characters then? What is meant by characters? They can be a single characters, can be any character, guys, any characters. So let me take a two type example of two, and numbers of can be 10 comma 20 comma 30, like this. It can be any number. Okay. So no need as of now. We clearly discussed these things. So a program works with data. So what is a data? Examples of data is nothing but some numbers or characters or let me get back to this to next line. So examples of data in the sense numbers and characters and words and etc. anything. So now the question is I'm asking you. Now the question is I'm asking you, where does this data get stored? Okay, where does this data get stored? The question I'm going to ask you is the question I'm going to ask you is where I can say, where does this data get stored? Simple. Now the question is simple, guys. So why do we need a variable? So before getting into the concept, directly getting into the concept in the sense, we are not going to discuss what is meant by variable and what is meant by data types directly. So before getting into them, why do we need a variable? And just think about it. So before writing any logic, we should know what is a variable and what we are going to store in a variable. So think about this. A program works with data. So what is meant by data? Data in the sense that in some numbers or in words or characters, combination of all these things. So the question is, where does this data get stored? Simple. So the answer is memory. The answer is memory. In memory, the data is going to get stored. So, but we can't directly access memory by address. Okay, but memory, but access, we can't directly access, we can't directly access memory by address. So we use variables. So the answer is memory. The answer is memory. Simple. But we can't directly access memory by address. So we use variables. So now let me explain you what is a variable. So what is a variable? So what is a variable then? So variable is nothing but I can say you directly what is a variable in the sense I can tell you what is a variable. A variable is a container. A variable is a container used to store data in memory. A variable is a container used to store data in memory. Okay, next. I can tell you some real-time examples or any examples. I can tell you examples like uh, examples can be a box with a label. Okay, a box with a label. Next, a bottle with a name tag. A bottle with a name tag. Okay, they are storing some data. Okay, those type of okay, a bottle with a name tag like this. So similarly in here we are in coming to similarly program in programming languages. Similarly in programming languages we are going to store data in int, like for example similarly uh, let me tell you example of int age is equal to some 20 or 21. Okay, here, 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 nothing but age is just a variable name. Age is just a variable name. So explanation is nothing but age is variable name and 20 is the value. 20 is the value. Simple guys. So memory is allocated and not automatically. So memory is allocated automatically. Simple. Variable helps us to store and access and to modify the data. In simple words, I can tell you, variable helps us to store, comma, access, comma, and to modify the data or modify the data, to modify something like modify data. Something. Okay, variable is nothing but it is going to help us to store and access and to modify the data. So here, how we are going to declare in our program Java language, int age is equal to 21. Int is nothing but is a data type. We are going to discuss in next few minutes. And age is nothing but is a variable name and is equal to 21. Here age is my variable name and 21 or 20 is the sorry I gave 20, so 21 is the value. So memory is allocated automatically. So next, so why variable names is very most important, like in the sense uh, variable names in the sense just we are going to make, if we are using variable names properly in our Java, variable name refers to some memory location and some it makes code more readable. And it is going to, because if you are using that particular variable with some particular name, you are going to use that, it can be used be again and again. So let me write this. Why variable name is important. See, why variable name is important in the sense variable name refers to, I can tell you, variable name refers to memory location, makes code readable, makes code readable, and it can be used again and again. It can be used again and again. Okay. Variable name refers to memory location and it makes code more readable and it can be used again and again. So for example, let me give you an example of let me give you an example directly. You will get understand. Int marks is equal to int marks is equal to some 100. Okay, int marks is equal to some 100. So I'm using directly as per language. I'm declaring here int marks is equal to 100 semicolon. So now what I need to do here, I'm going to print in system.println and let me write this as marks. Marks. It is going to print my marks in the console screen. So if variable didn't exist, we would lose the data and logic become impossible. Okay. If for example, if variable doesn't exist, if variable doesn't exist, we would lose our data. We would lose our data and logic become impossible. Logic becomes impossible. So with the help of variable only we are able to store our data and yes, we are able to access our data. We are going to modify our data. So variable makes more our code more readable and we can use that particular variable again and again. So fine. So how to now let me tell you how to declare a variable then. How to declare a variable in Java. How to declare a variable in Java then? So to declare a variable in Java, we must be able to know the syntax first. So let me tell you the syntax first and let me give you an perfect examples for it. So the syntax can be followed by like this. You must first able to write the particular data type you are going to use. So the syntax, how to declare a variable in Java, syntax must be followed by this. Data type should be followed first and followed by the data type with that followed by variable name or else variable name is equal to some value. Okay, data type can be anything. It can be int, it can be double, it can be float, it can be string, it can be anything. But variable name also it can be anything. Value name, some value is equal to the value the user is going to give. So let's say example of int. Some let me take int age is equal to 21 or in days also let me take some different example int x is if int x is equal to 10 same int data type refers to int and variable name is equal to x some value is equal to some 10. So what are the steps that are going to be happen internally? Steps that are going to be taken place or happening internally is nothing but steps are going to be happen internally is first the memory is going to be allocated. First step is the memory is going to be allocated, and the next second step is value is stored. Value is stored, and the third step is variable points to that memory. Variable points to that memory. Variable points to the memory. So why Java has data types then? So we clearly discussed up to here, we clearly discussed why we need a variable, how what is a variable, and how to declare a variable, how if why variable is most important. Everything discussed very clearly.